Hey guys, Slimber here, and I've been gone for about 2 weeks because, well, I'm fucking lazy and haven't uploaded. Now, I know you all have definitely been begging me to come back. Oh, Slimber, please get a time machine and come back and fuck my mother so I'm your fucking son! Those comments never happened because no one gives a shit if I leave YouTube. Nobody. I should just kill myself. Anyways, we're going to make a video criticizing Bernie. Didn't think I'd have to do it, especially on this topic when I kind of thought before he was for this.
If prohibition doesn't work, though, doesn't the logic that extend past marijuana?
To
crack cocaine, heroin, ecstasy. I mean, if the issue is prohibition, right, they're all prohibited substances.
and Portugal, I think, has moved in that direction.
They have.
I mean, let's take one thing at a time. This is a major step forward.
So twice in a fucking row, and I'm only going to show one of these interviews, which is on the Joe Rogan podcast. Bernie Sanders has said he is not for decriminalizing drugs. He's for legalizing marijuana, but obviously, I don't mean that. I mean like crack and heroin and ecstasy. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Shrooms. But anyways, he's not for that apparently. He's not, which I thought he was. We're gonna break down his kind of thing.
The other problem is, of course, with illegal drugs comes you get this horrible cycle, particularly in inner cities, where you have people that are incarcerated for illegal drugs. Illegal drugs seem to be the only way out. The hard drugs, when we're talking about cocaine and all these other drugs, how does one stop that? And would you ever consider legalizing all drugs or decriminalizing all drugs?
Not at this point, no.
Why? Portugal did it, and it helped kill their fucking opioid crisis. It literally helped kill their opioid crisis. Now, there were some other things in it, but it also helped change their culture to be more accepting to people who have addictions, and people were more willing to get help for their addictions in Portugal. That's what we need to fucking do here in America. Bernie?
But you're touching on a real tragedy.
Yes.
And when we talk about criminal justice in America, we have over 2 million people in jail. They are disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. And here's what I think. I think in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, what we have got to do, instead of building more jails and locking up more people, we really do have to invest in our young people, especially young people in distressed communities. What does that mean?
But Bernie, not all people are doing drugs because they're fucking distressed. Maybe I'm fucking partying and I want to fucking snort cocaine off a stripper's ass. Bernie, okay? I'm not doing it because I'm depressed, but it has nothing to do with that. It's because my fucking subscriber count is so fucking low. I'm gonna snort cocaine off a stripper's ass. No, I'm depressed because I keep slouching, and this position is not very comfortable, but I'm trying to show mostly the green screen. But I probably should get like an actual camera soon. That's why I'm depressed! No.
If we can, and we can do this with the proper amount of resources, make sure the kids are not dropping out of school. If you drop out of school today, say you drop out in your second or third year of high school, you don't have an education, you don't have any job skills, what are you going to do with your life? And the answer is you may well do drugs.
Not all heroin addicts, or opioid addicts, or crackheads, or cokeheads, or fucking alcoholics dropped out of high school. Many of them could be high school graduates. Many of them could have went to fucking college. Maybe they got it in fucking college. Maybe that's where the addiction started for them. It's not all because they fucking dropped out of fucking high school, Bernie. Like, I like you, Bernie. And even after this, I'll still support you. But this is you're fucking tone deaf right here, dude.
Or you'll get in trouble, self-destructive activity or destructive activity, you're going to end up in jail. It makes so much more sense from a humane perspective, protecting our people, as well as a financial situation. We're spending $80 billion a year to invest in these kids. What does it mean? It means making sure they get the education that they need, paying attention, having good schools, making sure that they get the jobs that are out there, doing job training. There was a principal in a school in southern Vermont. I'll never forget what she said. It was a working class school. And she said, Bernie, I love these kids. I am not going to let them drop out. And she had a mentoring program, just watching the kids who are mostly at risk so that they would not end up going through the cracks and getting into trouble. That's what we should be doing as a nation. And when we do that, we invest in the kids, we get them jobs, we get them education. The likelihood of them falling into bad ways is significantly reduced.
All those things sound great. The uncomfortable reality about drugs, though, is that when drugs are illegal, criminals sell them. And there's obviously a need for drugs in terms of, not necessarily a need, but a demand for drugs. There's a demand for drugs in this country that's absolutely fueling Mexican cartels and illegal drug runners inside this country. I mean, there's a lot of that. How do you curb that?
Joe Rogan hits it spot on. Prohibition always makes the fucking problem worse. Literally always. Read a fucking history book. Prohibition always makes the problem worse. Just let people have their individual rights and, smoke a fucking crack rock if they want. As long as, think of it like this, right? Because a lot of people go, well, people might do crazy shit if they can smoke crack and fucking do ecstasy and shit like that. Think of it like this. People can drink, right? If you get drunk and murder somebody, you can't go and say, well, I was drunk, so you can't punish me. No, you still murdered somebody. It's still murder. You murdered somebody nonetheless. You could have just, if you know you get like that when you're drunk, then you probably should have just chose not to drink. Maybe. So that's how that could go with that. The same fucking thing. It's still murder to fucking get high and murder somebody on fucking ecstasy or smoking crack. I guess smoking crack probably won't really make you do that. Fucking ecstasy or some shit like that. Or, what was that fucking shit? People used to fucking eat fucking people's face offs, the bath salts. Was that what it was? No, but fucking, literally, that's my shit, okay?
If drugs are illegal.
Well, you're raising a deep question.
Yes.
All right. So the question essentially that you're asking is, what is the cause of the opioid epidemic? Yes.
That's one
Heroin.
aspect of it. But the opioid epidemic is interesting because there's so much of it that's coming legally.
Right.
That's not the drug cartels. That's the pharmaceutical industry.
You're right. But the heroin is illegal.
Yes.
All right. Now you're asking, this is a very, very deep question, which we don't talk about terribly much. Why is it that so many of our people are turning to drugs, to alcohol, by the way? And I don't mean a drink a night, but I mean serious alcohol problems, and tragically to suicide. We now have, for the last 3 years, something that is ahistorical, never happened before in modern history, and that is our life expectancy is actually going down. And this is hitting all over the country, but it's especially hitting rural areas. And what the doctors are saying is that these are diseases of despair. Despair.
But once again, not all these people doing these drugs are addicts. I mean, I guess with opioid, most of them are. I mean, I guess technically with cocaine and crack, I guess cocaine and crack are pretty much the same thing for anybody who hasn't figured that out yet. I guess they're not all addicts, but with something like ecstasy, LSD, mushrooms, most of those people aren't addicts that do that. Most of those people aren't. Okay, maybe we could have an argument about keeping heroin illegal. I don't really agree. I think that just keeps the problem worse. But nonetheless, what about things like mushrooms, LSD, and ecstasy? all of those things, in my fucking opinion, should be legal. Now, with most of the rest of the video, I mean, most of this kind of segment in the podcast, he kind of says the same thing. We have to create more opportunities for people. I agree. Yeah, I think he does say we have to get people be trying to treat this more as a health issue rather than a criminal issue, which I agree. But at the same time, we shouldn't keep it illegal. We should allow people to do what they want and make their own choices as long as they're not hurting anybody else. Okay? Okay? I don't know what I'm fucking doing at this point. Anyways, guys, leave a dislike, leaving a comment calling me a fucking junkie, crackhead piece of shit. Or, you know, what I said earlier about you wanting me to come back in time and fuck your mother so I could be your dad. I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry. And, yeah, Slimber out.